I got to the last class, I didn't even teach. I sat down at my desk, literally about to cry. I said, I don't care what you guys do as long as you don't kill each other. You want to color, color.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. The beginning of the meeting. I don't care what
you
you
do.
guys do.
You want to
as long
color,
as you don't kill each other. I'm glad I'm down here.
I will be absolutely flattered if there's a lot of people watching this.
Well, we always get the statistics on it. You can look on it and see how many watched, how many viewed it.
I was watching the Planning Commission one from the 10th for a while, because that one has well over 1,000.
Whoa.
Not the Ravenna
Yeah,
planning.
yeah.
They're watching it in India to practice their English. Our church service is streamed, and we were getting huge numbers on it. And it's like, how are we getting these huge numbers? And then it ends up that India has hundreds and hundreds of people that watch English language things,
That's crazy.
practice their English, and
Oh
so
my gosh, that's crazy.
who knows?
All right. So, am I leading this? We are?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sure of who's in charge. I guess it's me for this. So, thank you everybody for being here. We have quite the collection of people, and we might not all know each other, so maybe that would be the best thing. I'm Carmen Lodato from Ravenna City Council at Large.
Hi, I'm Jen Mapes. I'm from Canada, I apologize, but, oh, sorry, microphone. Turn on?
Yes.
It is on.
It is on, okay. Hi, I'm Jen Mapes. I'm a geography professor at Kent State, and I've gotten interested in redistricting, and I've done some work on that, and so I was recruited by some League of Women Voters folks to come and work with you guys. So, thank you. Hi.
Paul Moskin, Ward 1 Councilman.
Sherry Rose, the president of League of Women Voters of Kent, and also I'm the development director for the League of Women Voters of Ohio.
Rob Karras, I'm the president of the city council for the city of Ravenna.
Larry Selenius, interested citizen.
Amy Michael, Ravenna City Council at Large.
Tim Calfee, Ravenna City Council, 4th Ward.
All right. Well, thank you. So now we all know each other. So I absolutely don't know how this, I know Sherry, you know way more about how this has to go, but we are all in on doing what we can to progress this forward. We've had a couple different, this has been discussed in my planning committee a few times with what was brought, God, what's his name? Trevor?
Trevor.
God, I can't believe I remembered that. Trevor came and did a presentation and handed out information to council about the percentage of deviation for each of the wards. And why do I want to say it was in the 60s overall for
It is.
Ravenna? Okay. And we hadn't had redistricting in years, and also how disproportionate the wards were. There was nobody that disagreed that this needed to be looked at, so this has support, I feel. And so that's how this committee came to be. We actually had to pass this, which it was passed unanimously, to form this committee to bring it to the next step. So I think the question on all of our minds is, I don't know if you want to say any more about this, but where do we go from here?
Where's it start?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that it can start in difference. I mean, it depends on how much your council wants to involve the citizens of Ravenna. We highly recommend that they become part of this process, and at least in the beginning, that they understand why this is happening, and that they might have some insight too as to what they feel like their neighborhoods look like. Like, what do they consider their neighbors? And it doesn't always end up working that way, but when we look, and we notice this especially when we're talking about larger populations. So when we look at congressional districts, for instance, we're looking at sometimes they're urban, and then they also go all the way down to rural areas. And so how does that work? Because those people don't look the same. And so as a council person, you may not be, arguing for for your entire population. Now, when we get into wards with city councils, it's not quite as diverse in the population sense. However, bringing the residents along and bringing the citizens along is we highly recommend that to be part of the process. And mainly for transparency purposes, so that they have an idea of why this is happening, how this is happening, what it means to them, and because maybe they have always voted in the same precinct and they voted for the same person. And so they may not understand the fact that there's such a variance. And so for anybody that might be watching or watching in the future, that the Ohio Revised Code says in law that the wards need to be within 10% of one another. Okay, so that someone doesn't have 3,600 and another person have 1,200. Two reasons, really, is one is that we want equal vote for each person. And so if you have that variance, there's not actually that equality in the votes. And secondly, for the elected official, is that someone has 3,600 residents asking them questions and someone else might have only 1,200. It also comes into effect when getting signatures to perhaps run again, is that you have a larger population here than someone else has. So it's very, I would say that it is the easiest way is with wards is when they're smaller. And that's what we're looking at here. So the next steps is perhaps looking at some of the maps, and I know that Jen has come up with those, is what could it look like, right? If we just took population, just the numbers of people in Ravenna, and we divided it equally, what would that look like? And then, does it make sense? Does it make sense? Do those lines actually make sense? Oh, that's the existing?
I did not want to, I could easily, I have the app, I set up some stuff people can do, but then you're just clicking and you're not thinking about what's keeping communities together, which I know is important. But I did bring some things. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Okay.
interrupt.
No,
But yeah,
that's-
it's not, I definitely don't want to tell people what it could look like, because I feel like I want other folks, people actually from Ravenna, to be the ones that are kind of trying out some lines and thinking about it.
I think it's interesting, though, to see the comparison just to get visuals in, I think that's important.
Sorry. Sorry. I'll bring one of these guys over.
I'm just used
The reason I brought these is.
And you know what, we might be able to lay them down and on that table
Yeah.
maybe, and then everyone can somewhat at least see.
The reason I brought this is because when you see how many people are in each census block, I think that really helps give you a sense of what has to happen, is just moving
And move that one
some of
chair.
these blocks from this orange, from here to here, or from here to here. And there's a really easy tool, and I brought some QR codes so you can
Ooh.
connect to it. brought there's some different maps for you. Mapping tools where it's so easy and you just kind of click over, you're like, oh no, I want this to be orange and not purple, and you can do that. You can do that in any which way you want to do it.
Are you saying you have software that will
Yeah.
use the census data?
Yeah.
Well, we could knock this out tonight then.
I mean, it's going to say it doesn't really seem too complex for the
No.
most part. If you're looking at the data and you're looking at numbers and fairness, you've got the pie right there. I think the big thing, like what Sherry's saying too, is then to be able to allow the public to talk and to have some discussion on their thoughts and understanding this. But for the most part, the process looks pretty simple.
Simple.
The process itself, and you're right, Amy, the process itself is I wouldn't say very simple, but it is from,
Thank you.
and especially, so Trevor, who presented here originally, Trevor and Jen have a lot of experience with this software, because when there was redistricting discussions in the state, they're even looking at a whole state. And so when you're looking at 4 wards, I mean, this, I'm going to put words into her mouth, but I would think that Jen could do this in her sleep. And truly the software is such that really anyone can move around the different census blocks and come up with a fair map. So that part is not as perhaps challenging as having the residents understand and be comfortable with the process and know what is happening and why it's happening, and to understand that Ravenna is one of the highest percentages of malapportionment in the state. Which is how it came to our attention from League of Women Voters of Ohio, as when we ran the numbers, there were several that were in that 60% range, and Ravenna was one of those. And so, so the ease of which to do it is maybe not as complicated as it is to get the residents and understand the process.
I think that, and also you could do this in a million different ways. What makes the most sense given the neighborhoods? And so, I mean, one of the things that interested me when you look at the map is that the downtown is divided up into. So do downtown residents have more in common or not, because they're being divided up in quarters? So there is no representative of downtown Ravenna. In fact, I have on this other map that I made, I put all of the ward-based council members' homes on the map. Because the other thing is we have to make sure we do not put them in a new ward. You guys don't want that.
Right.
So, but also,
Actually, downtown has 4 representatives.
That's what it shows on the map.
Right.
but what if an issue comes up where it's like, save downtown, stop the whatever, something. But then everyone on the outskirts of town is like, no, we want that. Would the downtown people feel represented?
Yes.
We do have at-large, too. Because we have the 3 at-larges where it's the whole city. So that kind of helps some balance it out, because we don't represent one ward, we have the whole city. So, but I do like your idea about, because that has always been brought up in the past about downtown not having, it was questioned at one point if our downtown should have an actual ward council person. That was brought up in the past. I mean, that was conversation in the past. That was brought up years ago, before you, and it had talked about ward, being a council person for the downtown and the vicinities. But that was something at one point someone talked about.
Are we going to change the number of wards?
I don't think
No,
that's necessary.
population is decreased over time. There's no reason to create more havoc by
But I was just
introducing a new
referring
ward.
to what she was talking about, the downtown and how to make that,
And we want to keep representation the same, I presume, without leaving anybody out of their ward.
Absolutely, and that's why Jen said that she mapped where the council people in those wards, where their addresses, so that we are making sure that we do keep them in the ward.
Is that
Do
on
we
that
have a
separate?
This is on a
Timeline.
different, this is a map that has a whole lot of extra information. So what you can't do redistricting here, you can't test out different districts, but it has information like where do more young people live? Or, so things that might make it feel like a neighborhood. I tried to find the map of elementary school boundaries, or even.
that's even
I know
changing.
That's gonna change, I know it's gonna
Yes.
change. But like that, I thought that could be useful too.
The whole city goes to schools based on grade. So everybody from all four wards.
The
go
neighborhood
to the
schools
same
are
school.
gone, yeah.
Okay, then that doesn't matter as much here.
And now it might even change into the future. The state of the schools was yesterday, and they're planning a K through 6 building, one K through 6 building on the same campus as the high school, which will be 7 through 12 starting next year. The high school will now house 7 through 12. So there's only going to be 2 schools in the entire city, and they're both proposed to be in the same location.
So I don't want to charge in without appropriate talk beforehand, but I'm kind of like Larry is, there could be some pretty easy solutions. One of the things, historically, we have a 4-ward grid pattern with north and south, east and west boundaries that have divided up this downtown so that all wards have some representativeness in downtown. As you look at it a lot, it's very interesting. The wards that have gained population are 2 and 3. The losing ones are 1 and 4. If you look at the numbers of 3,000 and 2,000, you only have to move about 500 people. A solution that you could do is just slide the boundary up. Say, for example, you wanted to adjust it through 2 and 4. Sliding the boundary north to pick up the 500 people then keeps everything kind of historically the same, except you're going across Main Street. The same thing over here.
So downtown would then, with that, would have 2 wards through it instead of 4.
Right, but, so, and the same thing over here. So what it would look like is this line would move up, in this ward over here, this line would move down, and then they would all be equal. The other way,
How do you know they'll all be equal?
all you gotta do is on the map here, go through and pick, it's just like a bus route. You know where the people live, you draw the line down until you get to the.
No, I am familiar with how the software works, but it may not, and you may have to go further down or further left, or,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
it's not gonna be just like, oh, we'll just move it up a few inches.
But that's where you would start to look at those numbers,
Yes,
and then
if
adjust
there's-
backwards as needed.
Yeah, because we want as clean a cutoff as I mean, right now, we've got the ideal, right?
Yeah.
Vertically and horizontally,
Yeah.
the main streets,
You
but,
wouldn't have to do it this way, okay, you got that, this up, and, this one up. The advantage of that would be you might possibly be able to find a line across here that would divide them up. But you said you would lose downtown. You could also do the same thing along Chestnut, because you also have one that needs and one that's got to lose along Chestnut. So by sliding this line over, you could pick up enough that you would make these 2 equal, and you could slide this line over and make these 2. That way, everybody would have a part of downtown. It would just be Chestnut that would be moved out. So those are some thoughts on maintaining a historical perspective of where the.
Well, this is why it's a good discussion, because going back to Jen's comment, honestly, this isn't until I really looked at this that when you brought it to my attention, I didn't notice that it's split into quadrants in downtown, but they have very unique and specific needs that maybe they would be better served if there was a council person, not maybe create another position, but that if one of the wards was completely there, I don't know. Or at least, like you said, reduce it down to 2 instead of 4.
But don't we all on council feel like we represent downtown too? I mean, the 3 at-large people, that was, they represent downtown. Don't we all feel like we do not just, as a council person, represent and have interest in our ward? We have interest in the whole city, so.
Well, according to that map, everybody does represent downtown.
Right.
The 3 at-larges and 1 from each
Yeah.
ward.
Do the lines, the dividing lines have to be in the middle of a street?
And that, I think,
They
and
have to go along census block lines, which tend to be in the middle.
in the middle, right, but I think he's saying like,
Easy to visualize if they are, but they don't have to be.
That's what this map has, is it has like these those are our building blocks. We can't make up anything. That's as fine a scale, which is pretty fine scale, but, so,
and I think that these were historically, it was easy. It's, Main and Chestnut, and that was the dividing line. And as we saw, and to no fault of anyone, the different wards have grown, and then others have decreased. And so it's just a matter of, and from what we, at least from what we could surmise, it looks as if this has been since 1972, were when these lines were drawn. And then in 92, it looks as if there was a review, but no lines were really drawn. So this is, we're looking at almost 50 years of growth in these different areas. And so, Tim, you're right. There are many different ways that this can be divided to make it equal. What makes sense to all of you, and your community better than we do. We can look at census information, of course, but where it makes sense. Like, do these people look like these people? And do we have a big subdivision over here that might not make as much sense in like the downtown area? Or so I think that is kind of for council to talk about, but also once you have those perhaps choices on the map, is then to take it out, and that's where the feedback from the community can be very beneficial.
Interestingly, I didn't see any numbers for what each of the 4 wards had in 72 when it was first established.
Do you have those numbers?
From 1972?
No, the numbers now,
Yeah, we've got the
the
numbers now
exact
there.
numbers.
I could find that.
We should all have those.
Yeah, we was sent those
It's on this
numbers.
handout.
Yeah, that
Last
was,
census.
Well, Larry
I'm
didn't.
not even sure we're collecting census block level data.
Well, I can tell you one thing.
In small
Before,
towns.
Ann of our estates has a little under 300 homes. So you could say, I don't know what
Okay,
the
I just
exact
copied it
population
down.
of that is,
Yeah.
but
oh
say,
yeah, that's nice.
but say 700 to 800 people just there. And that's, that was 30 years ago when that was built, maybe a little bit over. So that's where a lot of this was offset. It's a real good development, but that's where
So
that comes into play.
if I'm understanding your tactic, it's sort of like if you could put your finger in the middle.
Tactic. Idea.
Method.
You're scheming and
Okay.
plotting.
Tactic carries, tactic, yes.
If you could put your finger in the middle, right, of the 2 cross, and then just like move them slightly in one direction, if we could find the magic place where it kind of lines up as close to what we have now, that's what we're shooting for.
Oh, I'm just giving an idea. I don't know if it's putting your finger in the middle and moving it
He's
around.
talking about moving Ward 4 more to the north and Ward,
Yeah, I don't know the
Ward,
numbers.
Ward,
I'm not
Ward
saying which
1 more
direction.
south.
Either this that way, and that
Yeah,
way.
those two
or that
lines are
way,
exactly
or the
like
other
that.
one.
Or you could do it along this line where
Yeah, like Highland
it moves over
and,
there.
what's the other road that goes?
So, I see there's kind of a challenge here, which is that this is the most efficient way of doing it. And we don't want to move people to some totally different ward. That, not just the people who are representing them, but also the people who already live there. But at the same time, you want to try to keep communities of interest together. So people that would have the most in common. And that doesn't necessarily, like you were saying, I just want to clarify that what people look like doesn't mean literally what they look like, but like age groups and
Right.
Right,
families
demographics,
and
demographics.
renters. And so that's why I made that, the shorter handout has a lot of those demographics.
But wouldn't you
on it.
agree, I mean, unless we want to just wipe this part away and start from scratch, subtle changes are going to keep things the way they are. And if that's the goal, right, if that's what I'm not sure if
I
that's what you're
think the
saying.
idea is to balance those two because they're somewhat opposing, but we kind of have to balance that.
Right, but I'm saying if we start with the premise, and I'm not saying this is a good premise, that the way we have it laid out here is fairly representative, demographically, then slight changes to it would be the best and easiest and most efficient option. Now, if we want to kind of look at voting habits, where the Democrats and Republicans and independents break out, we almost, because it's been so long, pretty much have to start from scratch. And that may be really problematic for people
Yeah,
to
and
get
we're not really
adjusted.
supposed to look at
No.
political.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't through political
No.
lines. This is more about the fact of, again,
Population.
like pardon me?
Population.
The population, and also, as you were all saying, some of the needs of the downtown voters are going to perhaps be different from some of the farmers that are out in your, like, hinterlands, if you're, like, some of the areas that don't have much population.
Don't have any.
No.
Or the folks in Ward 2 that are in the apartment buildings, for example, the newer apartment.
We have such a mix in all of the wards that I don't think
saying is very
worrying, I
easily
don't think that's an
identified
issue.
here.
An issue? Okay,
I don't personally.
okay.
The point that Jen was making is easily identified here. Ward 4 needs more people.
Yes,
They can go up here to get them.
right,
They can go over here to get them.
yeah.
If we go to the west of Chestnut and pick up people, it is quite different than the rest of the ward. This is high home ownership. This is higher income area. This is high rental, high transient. So if you slide it over that way, you diversify the ward. But if you're talking about what seems the same, more similar for Ward 4 would be to go across Main Street, high home ownership, fewer rentals, if that's what you're looking at. So
Well, but 3 is the biggest.
Although,
You
yeah,
gotta
4
get
is
the
the
most
one that we-
people out
Exactly.
It
free.
needs,
Well-
yeah, you said that.
So,
No, I mean, that's
you move-
great. That is exactly what
you-
I'm suggesting.
That
we
is-
need to know,
yes.
Is
you
that
move
kind of
3 up and
information.
you move 1 down.
yes,
I feel like everything Ravenna is whether you're east or west on Main Street.
Yeah, that's really the diversion is east and west.
So that would
Yes.
suggest
The
that that
difference.
north-south movement is going to be more effective.
Right, than east-west.
I agree.
I feel like east-west would be more problematic than north-south, for
Paul,
sure.
what you said about Ward 2 with the Anavar getting all those people up
Ward
there.
3, that's Ward 3.
I mean,
Yeah, it's Ward 3.
oh yeah, Ward 3, Anavar. Ward 2, we were counting, Ward 4 where I live today, I was talking with somebody in the 3 houses on both sides of me, my house and the next 2 houses. They had 13 kids in those 3 houses when this was done. There's not a kid on our whole block anywhere on our block in Ward 4. And so we've lost huge amounts of kids in Ward 4.
Yeah, things have changed a lot.
And a lot of those individuals that you just mentioned after they left, whether high school or college, depending where they went completely out of the area.
The loss of population.
2 of my 3 kids don't even want to be in Ohio, much less stay in the city. And Ohio sees that too. There's a lot of diaspora, especially in the younger demographic, leaving.
So going forward, are you going to suggest that maybe make the changes on kind of what we've talked about and then educate the residents based on what the population looks like? I don't think the residents are going to freak out at all. I don't think there's going to be a huge outburst on this personally. They're going to be more concerned knowing where to vote, who their council person is, and if there's a problem. 9 times out of 10, they'll call, Chelsea. They look on the website, and I really think that as long as we're consistent and, do give an opportunity and put the information out there, I really think that.
Does this ultimately go on the ballot? Or do we vote amongst,
No.
it's just us, okay, thank God.
This year.
But I would think then what you're saying, so we kind of come to an agreement on council of how we feel the map would best represent our city and demonstrate some type of equity. And then after we agree amongst ourselves, then engage the public.
So take it to your committee after this meeting at least, and then have the committee talk about it, move it to committees of a whole, have the education part of it to what it will look like, the new versus old, and, come up with the numbers, and then talk to the portager, talk to the record, and we can have a session before council for public delegation.
Yeah.
And I really think personally that is the simplest way to do this.
And I think, Amy, we've seen in many of the communities, unless they were losing a ward or something, which hasn't really happened but once, there's been, the public wants to know, and they want to just have an idea of why am I not voting for this person anymore, or why are they not my council person anymore. But as for severe backlash, we haven't really seen that,
Yeah, and again, getting the information out for the Board of Elections, getting it out there to, the people running for that seat. They may have different people, and the people that normally would vote in 3 that might be voting in 4 or 2 or wherever, that information has to make sure that gets out there, whether they starts going in their water bill, website, wherever we can get the information out on our end as well.
absolutely.
As a citizen who's not a member of city council, I can tell you I find it much easier to work with councilmen from other wards and the at-large councilmen than I do my own. So I don't see these boundaries as being as important or as offensive as you think they're going to be.
Well, and I think for polling locations, so when I moved to Ravenna in 2019, and when I moved here, I felt like almost every neighborhood had a voting location, but then that changed a couple years ago. About half the city now votes and the township votes at Independence Place of Portage County. So now there's only there's I think 3 maybe in the whole city. I know half of the city exactly now votes at Independence Place of Portage County. So for a lot of people, it's already moved locations, which I'd have to look at it to see where the polling locations are versus what you brought up, because it's entirely possible that people won't even change their voting location because there's so few of them now in the city.
It's very few will, because what you just commented, I know most, most of Ward 3 votes over there on Lake Avenue.
Right, where that wasn't, I used to vote at that New Testament church across from Brown Middle School. But now it's moved literally to the other end of town. It
Yes.
is on the opposite end of town for me to go vote now.
And it's almost out of the city limits.
Yeah.
Makes that,
Board of Elections.
Board of Elections.
Yes.
that seems,
I know, because some of the people in Ward 1 have to vote out at another church where there's no walking, and those people in that ward, there is no transportation out there. So if they don't vote to early voting, then they have to find a ride or they don't vote.
Well, there's no transportation to Independence Place either and no sidewalks.
Yeah. So there you go. But that's
I've
a
already
whole
brought
nother
that up
issue.
I was gonna say, woo, okay, that's not,
Do we have a timeline to complete this, like end of the year or something?
I think
Or
what
the end of the year.
Trevor said December would, well, you have to get
don't
it done
think-
within so many months of the next primary or something like that.
150 days before.
Before the petitions
Okay.
submitted in mid-February.
I don't see this being
But then it
long.
has to be a time period before that.
This
I thought
isn't going to be
somebody-
that difficult.
Well,
Jen, if you were to,
famous last words.
if you and
No, it
Trevor were
really
to do the
isn't.
maps, how long would it take
It's-
to, if you were,
seconds, but to
Right?
make the thing, yeah, it's really just a matter of how much participation you want to have. I don't know. It sounds like you think that people are going to be fine with if they're, they're not, so I would be going through, clicking these blocks and said like, this one has 125 and juts way up into here. Is that going to be an issue, or should we focus
yes.
more on this and this? or-
Because this has one of the
got it
fewest,
wrong.
if this right
Wrong one,
here
though.
has the most, so you'd have to
Yeah,
take
sorry, I
some
meant
from
this
here
one.
and either
Yeah,
move
so
them
that's what
here
this is.
and move them here.
Yeah, so if going with the idea that the east-west stays the same, then it would be that this boundary of Ward 1 would move to the south. And
If-
so I
So
would
we're
click on
saying-
each of these guys and add them in and hope that it's
Yeah, well, that's
It
the
still
hope.
won't be
The hope-
straight.
It's the hope part.
It's going to
that
be
we-
kind of zigzag.
right.
like,
Because
so
it has
this
to be.
one
Who gets
moves south
zigzag?
and that one
Which-
moves north?
Yes.
Is
Which
that
ones
what we're-
have the
okay.
most in
is-
common
Yeah.
and would make the most sense if
When you
it's
say in
zigzaggy?
common,
Does it feel like part of your neighborhood? So
well, I think that
can-
that's not,
You can go one street over and it not feel like your neighborhood.
I'm seriously.
yes.
Well,
Well-
right at this moment, all our lines are in the middle of a street, so people across the street from each other are not in the same ward.
Yes.
That's right. But
But
would
only on
zoning have something to do with
4
it?
streets.
Like, you wouldn't necessarily want to, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's just some simple question. With zoning, like if you extended it down from red into that orange area and suddenly you captured
or up.
more commercial zoning, because you would that be an issue? I mean, is zoning part of the calculation? Not at all, okay.
No.
But I mean, but think about it, I mean, zoning does determine like resident, whether it's home ownership or not, right?
But Tim was suggesting that
There's so many
these
for us, and so
were more homeowners.
not a fan.
And if
not
you
a
go
fan.
this way, you have more
Well,
rental.
yeah, that's true,
Well,
but see,
in
like,
that red, there are some good-sized apartment buildings in,
yeah, the
But where,
horizontal,
how far?
So this
Okay,
one,
because
this
it wouldn't
181
move that far.
might be an issue.
no, but I think what Larry said is true. I mean, the horizontal line crosses, Main Street where there's commercial properties on both sides in the middle. And so if you go one way or another, you're gonna double like
Do you mind if I mark?
the amount of commercial
polling
properties you
locations on it?
just
'Cause I don't
included
think
in
the
that,
polling locations
or
have
take away all of the commercial
yeah.
properties in
I
that,
was thinking
in
about
that
doing that. Sorry, I didn't
ward.
get to. I did put the precincts, but
that
I
make sense?
assumed that they would be
Yes,
more
I
than
think it
10
would-
for
it would
the
make it different.
precincts determined.
What I'm
So-
suggesting is the two maps to look at first would be the one that has this exchange and this exchange. The other one would be the one that has this exchange and this exchange. Because the two wards that have a lot of population, they can give population to either this one or that one. So it'd
Right.
be 2 different maps, is all I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying when you move, if you move one of those up there, you've just captured both sides
Yes.
of Main Street in Ward 4.
Which makes the argument, if you want everybody to have part of Main Street, then you would need to do it along Chestnut.
Right.
And that would keep everybody.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a big deal. I don't know if it is or not.
No,
I guess it's not.
I don't believe so.
Take a quick look
you
at
help me out with some?
two different ideas.
Here, help me out.
What,
Okay, so mapping out
Border hits way,
location.
one that way.
So
Well, we were just talking about,
We give Tim Calfee
this
the whole
this is all
downtown
epic.
plus
So
these
if
other
we move,
so you're moving it
nobody
up
that
and
votes
over.
in 3A, 3B, 3C.
Yeah, I don't,
Okay.
but
Those,
Nobody
I think
would-
estimates are made
Exactly.
Okay, so help me
on
find the
population
other
per
one. So
square
New
inch on the
Testament.
map is how I
Is-
just.
Whoa.
made a
that
rough
is
estimate.
I don't know that
1B.
holds up. See, that's why we have the mapping, so, which I can't
Diamond?
figure out how to
So
work.
it's
going west to the city limits,
Run them through your.
State Route 59. I just want to mark it on the map.
okay? Here's Diamond.
But
Where would New
That doesn't
Testament
look,
be?
That would be right over here. Part of
this
the
one
property is in the township.
Dave's-
Okay. So this is right
Dave
here.
have a last name?
That's Scranton, nope,
How does this
it's
work?
on
though? I
Morgan.
don't even know
okay,
what
that's
I'm
what I was
doing.
gonna show on.
Oh, okay.
And I have step by
Yes.
step stuff on.
Because I can see
Yeah,
over
the
here,
part, but
there's,
it's
you know,
kind of
giving
weird where the
First thing,
township
click
and the city
block.
line is.
Oh, wait, this is locked. Let me, you can just
And
unlock it. 'cause I have-
And that's only 1B is voting there.
plus, then you have
First thing it says is.
part of the township.
Copy. Where's
That one is done. All right. Maplewood
This is
Christian
Dave,
Church,
so-
7300 State Route 88.
Hang on.
That's a church where people
Yeah,
vote.
so that's,
That's where she's putting the polling
Freedom and
locations
Up there.
on there, just to kind of, because
Sorry.
many of them aren't going to
State
change.
Route 88.
I
So
think it's
as
'cause
do you know
I
where
was-
Maplewood Christian Church, that's way up there, isn't it?
no, it's over here.
Okay.
Loomis Parkway, yeah,
I do click on
it's,
block, right? So it should show, if you
it's up-
zoom in a
it's-
little bit more, it should
there.
show you how much.
Okay.
because, ouch, nope, that's not what that was.
It's just zooming in.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
All right, so Maplewood is
Dismiss.
only 1A, so this wouldn't be affected. That's way too far north to be affected by
And
any
this is what
movement.
Amy was referring to. A lot of people that are living over here have to go way over there.
Right, 'cause
Oh, the view
Elks
only is over
also
here.
88. So where would the?
Oh, it's up there, it's up.
Gates right here, the Elks is like
Sorry.
right over here
Okay.
somewhere, because it's past.
So how do you change it from
Yes,
zoom,
just a little bit.
view only?
Actually, it's right across the road.
It's over on the left.
Apparently I
Yes.
can do that if I logged in, which,
So you can't do it unless you log in.
yeah, I thought that I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Elks
Because the idea would be to make a
is
copy, I mean, you can make your own.
gonna be
kind of-
2A.
And then just mess around with it.
Yes, that's the whole, like, that was where a lot of people did this.
Ravenna Assembly of
with
God,
Ohio.
People vote there.
401
Yeah, well,
State Route 14.
Right.
It's Ward 2.
That's 2B.
This gives a little bit more of a sense, is if you
So here's 14, so it's on the west side of 14.
look on
Yeah, that's
the,
right. That's
Will
by
this,
the, by the
will this
state highway. patrol,
software
right?
allow you
Yes.
just to change
Okay,
the
so this is gonna be going out of
boundaries
town
and then,
this way. Isn't that gonna be like,
it's so,
how do you,
it's
can you get
like,
it, can I get an account somehow?
yeah, just
So
if you
it's
click on
actually-
sign up,
it's
okay.
after Woodbend.
What do I have to give up?
Yes, so it's,
not
that
a lot,
church
it's really,
is-
it's actually really.
You got that look on your face.
Okay, so it's gonna be, over
Can you just log in?
That's it.
or it's gonna be over here. It's
You
gonna
know
be
what,
up here.
hang on, I got.
gotta work- I gotta work on that.
Do
before
it.
that,
Sorry,
you're real
guys.
close.
Okay,
I
so
feel like I'm
let's
in my
just
class
say
where I
it's here.
inevitably.
Because the city limits,
Um,
it's,
I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be like logged in and then I forgot my password license.
Assembly of God, and so that one is only 2B. So that's way too far, so if, like, according to Tim's suggestion, if we move this up, nobody's gonna be affected over there. And then the library, that's the only other one that's missing off of this map. So,
okay. That's Cedar, no, that's one part of Cedar.
I might try changing my password.
That would be Freedom, need to come back here. Oh, there's the other part of Cedar.
Oh, Freedom.
It would be right in this area.
Okay, so the library,
I don't know.
the library is only
I got it, no, I got it.
Okay, so looking at the polling locations, the people that, the people that, if you moved, so we're looking at moving this one north. That means that, Larry, this would impact you.
I don't know what happened to the map.
Well,
Calfee, the downtown.
Now, wait a minute. If you don't want to move, if you move.
He's bound to give you that, Tim.
All right. You're lobbying, Larry.
If you move, well, yeah, you could either go this way or
'Cause if-
this down here.
well, no, because we're trying to gain more in this board.
More
We want more people, so he's talking about moving it north. So if you moved it north, that means that anybody who's in 4B is now gonna be
Well, but these are the current polling locations. They would change
logged
that
in.
necessarily,
But
though.
that
Still
one
view
place.
only.
because the rest of
showing
them are
you
way
like a
too far
copy.
away from the
Where?
boundaries of where we're
Oh, see
talking
that
about
little,
moving.
unfortunately,
They're
it's
way,
like this
so,
little thing there.
one of them's all
This?
the way
Yep,
out
make a
here.
copy, and then you can start
Epic,
your
where
own.
I vote.
I wanted to keep.
Well, they are right now, but if the
No, 'cause-
lines change,
Copy,
But we're only talking about either moving this line a little bit this way or that way, or this line a little bit
cool.
north. So the only polling location that would even be close is the one on the edge of town, the New Testament Church by Brown Middle School, which is actually technically in the township. Or,
Yeah, 'cause they're
the
probably
library.
split.
The other ones
Like,
would
did
be,
it?
so
Yep.
nobody
So-
else's,
And then
only
you
two
can-
precincts would change the polling location.
Kind of click on the area, it gets a little sad about too many
Sorry.
Does your
little blocks. If you
voting
click on that
location
area,
have to be in
oh,
your
there you go,
ward?
and the little blocks show up,
No,
and then this target here
and the reason I'm positive.
shows you which one you're
because there's
working with.
several
So
people
we
in
want
Ward 3
to,
that are voting.
that is the
in
one
four.
with
Right, so that's not a blurry.
too
So I
few.
live
So we want to
Madison.
then
that's why
add
I'm
some
saying,
of the
I don't think
green
that
to
is
the
a big,
yellow.
I don't think that's a big factor.
Just to
Yeah.
pull this line up.
Yeah, just click on
When-
that
That's not.
And when,
green block and then.
Yeah.
So
Most of the
click on
cities
that
not
when
even
you're
gonna have to change.
clicked on yellow
few
with the
years
little
ago-
target.
Click over here,
Nope, so the target is on yellow, that's good, that means
Give
that you
Tim
can
all
click
the
on this green
downtown.
block.
my mouse
Somebody
disappeared.
represent.
I do
What
like the
happened?
idea of downtown having one representative.
You
Like,
don't?
no, I do.
Yeah, but then you're increasing another.
Thing.
I'd have to play around with the lines and see what it does. Believe me, I'm probably gonna not sleep
that.
tonight,
Click
cause
on
I'm gonna
that
be
paper.
laying in bed moving
This?
maps around.
But we don't,
Every time you touch.
but the nice thing that, her program does it, and we can't, you,
okay.
Oh, yeah, so see
the
it
polling
highlights it, but
locations
you're working
change
with yellow,
year,
you're painting
different
yellow,
years, so
and
we
then click
can't
on that
use the
block.
polling location
turn it yellow.
as a basis of
And then
this.
you're-
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying, like, if we take it to
Oh,
the
I
public
s-
and they,
okay.
and I know the polling
Oh,
locations
oh,
change, but
oh,
honestly,
okay.
the way that they are
Yes.
now, there's
Oh,
only
I
two
like
precincts
this.
that would even be potentially impacted, which
Yeah.
is minimal. So there wouldn't be a whole upheaval of all these people, everybody having these locations.
but a lot of people really, I mean, from what I know, they know a lot of times it's gonna change, because I can't tell you the many places that I have already changed to vote, and since I've lived where I've lived.
I can only imagine, because I've only been here for 7 years and I've changed it already twice.
Yeah, so people pretty much wait for that postcard to come, or if they don't know, they call the Board of Elections, hey, where am I voting? Or, you know,
I live
we
next
got to
to
look
the
at the
library.
numbers and,
yeah, and
People vote in the library.
Can I show you
have to
guys
go
the
out to the
software
Elks
now?
Club to
Now
vote.
that I
Yeah.
finally got it up and running?
Sorry. Oh, there we
They-
go.
It's not critical.
So the paintbrush up here lets you paint with whatever color of word you want. So right now that little target thing is on yellow. So we need to expand yellow. See how it says a negative number up here? So we're gonna like add that block and that block and that block. This is why I told you it takes seconds to do it, but you
How
want
do
to
you
be thoughtful,
recalculate the
right?
number?
it's recalculating on the
Oh,
side.
okay.
See how it's recalculating on
This
the,
one is gonna be
Yeah.
a big jump and probably too much. Nope, oh, no, sorry, that's.
Okay, now, all right, now.
that's
do you
what-
see it'll recalculate on the
Yeah,
right
no,
side? Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it myself here. Yes, and
It really.
so we just keep playing around until we get the numbers all the same through all.
Well, they won't be the
With
same.
Within a
with less
10%.
of a percentage of deviation. not, not.
10 or less.
Nobody's going to get it exactly the same.
So yeah,
No,
maybe I put.
I
Well,
some
we're not
in
looking for
yellow,
exactly
some
the
in
same.
like
We're
some in
shooting for,
green
to
a
make it
little
more
bit.
equitable than it is now.
Well, and Carmen, maybe what the next step is that you and Rob and whoever wants to play around with the software and then come with a map, see how kind of close you are and then talk about it and be able to, identify and then reconvene and come up with a map.
Because Amy, the word redistricting has such a negative connotation anymore. It's like, I think it's really important that people have a really positive experience of it. So that way, when they hear redistricting in other places, they're not like, oh my God, they're like, it was actually not that bad. It was transparent, it was open, it was fair.
Yeah, due to the change in population and, we had to balance out the wards so that consistency.
I think it's coming at a reasonable time too, because we just shut down 3 elementary schools. So, I mean, declining enrollment, declining population. So I think the fact that there's changes happening in other sectors of the city.
And this will be 4 schools after this school year that'll be closed.
Wow.
I clicked on a
Well, the
different color,
enrollment's
but it's
dropped
not working.
drastically in the last 8 to 10 years.
Like I clicked over here.
Put the R
And
in.
enrollment in
It's just not
schools
changing.
Oh, you must have accidentally clicked on
dropped
that box.
drastically.
Did, oh,
That's just every
clicked
school
it.
district is
Okay,
facing
thank
this. Well, maybe
So-
not Kent.
so yeah,
No.
if
we
those
are.
of us who want to play with this, I think this is what your suggestion was, we can do this and then we can compare our results. Who
Yeah.
knows, maybe we'll all come up with the same magical map.
This description here, and I'm sorry, I hope it should be almost enough. The one that has the color on it and it's bigger. I have step-by-step instructions for how to do this. And one of the things I say is name the copy with your name so that we know that it's your map, so you can explain it when we go off and do our own and then come back.
You have some more of those?
So the
Yeah,
small,
what
but
did I do with mine?
to be
Did you
clear,
want
the
mine, Larry?
smallest,
Yeah, I stole it.
Oh.
the smallest increment we can change on this map is a block. Then you could change, a precinct would be next larger city and county.
Yeah.
So we're stuck with the blocks, which isn't gonna make what Tim and I would wanna do almost possible because of the way the blocks are laid out. Right?
Yeah,
So,
especially apartments tend to be really,
right, they're gonna dense.
So we're going to have to be mindful, looking at those numbers on the side, how it's,
Well, we may have some
Right.
jagged sort
Yeah.
of things.
And, right, and it's not, because it won't be symmetrical. I mean, the idea of having it absolutely symmetrical like it was
That's
is not
impossible.
going, it's gonna be impossible at this point.
It may be pretty close, though, if you look, there's a lot of blocks there.
Oh, I mean, it can
Yeah.
be like, you're gonna, but it's not going to be exactly the
We, instead of,
line that it was.
10% variance on these wards is gonna be 250 people on some of them. The difference between the 2 wards.
yeah,
So you got, you want it to get within 10%.
Correct.
The 2 wards, you want it to be within 10%.
All 4 of them have to be
Yeah.
within,
Do we want to
okay.
get it within 10%, or do we want to get it even closer, so it's longer till we have to do this again?
10% is not the law, 10% is the suggestion.
yeah,
What's the law?
there is no law.
There is not a law on the
Suggestion.
so Kent has it in their charter as a 10%.
Well, still, do we want to get
But
as
Ohio
close
Revised
as we
Code
can, or
says
only
10.
within 10%?
there's the Ohio Revised Code, so 10 is
Yeah.
no?
Ten's the
Well, we have a
goal. I
disagreement.
don't think there's like an advantage to being as close as possible, only because there's such, in 10 years, there's such shifts. There could be a big apartment building built, or there could be, I don't know, something could happen. Who knows what could happen?
Because correct me if I'm wrong,
What's
didn't
this
Kent
about
just lose
10
a
years?
precinct last
If
year?
we do this,
I thought they lost a
are we
precinct,
good
because I
for
know
10
from
years
Democratic Central
regardless of
Committee,
population?
somebody lost their
Technically, it could
seat
be
because
done
the precinct went
Within 1
away.
year of the
Like
census data being-
6D or something like that.
So the decade, of the 20, so the 2030 census.
but we
when that
didn't lose
happens,
We didn't lose
then-
council.
You don't lose council, but that means that you went from like
If we need to,
having
maybe we
4
don't. Maybe
precincts
there's
in
no
that ward to
population
3.
change, that's fine.
Because
And
we
I-
lost a
A lot of
precinct
times
person.
something happens.
They ended up, I remember this because then the precinct then, if, was not an open seat that they moved to. God, I can't remember who it was, too.
The Chris?
Oh, are you talking
Chris
about
Hook?
Kent? Yeah, that was.
No, I can't remember. But last year, I think Kent lost a precinct.
No, so they did, they redistricted,
Okay,
but they districted out Chris Hook from his.
okay, so it was Chris
His
Hook.
ward. Yeah, that didn't go over very well. So,
Yeah, no, it did not.
they eventually fixed it.
The Ohio Revised Code doesn't require a specific number. It just says
Must be
substantially equal in population.
Population.
So,
So a 60-some% deviation is nowhere near equal. We're just so far out of whack, yeah,
I'm not saying we shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying 10%,
yeah.
great number to aim for. If
But-
we're 11, it might be.
yeah, and you know,
okay.
when you think about the future and the fact that we're not in the mode of developing new neighborhoods and stuff like that, I don't know that there's the prospect of substantial change over the next, whatever, few decades.
Unless we annex the township.
In the last 20 years.
Well, then we have to do everything different. I mean, that's.
I'm
The last
joking.
20 years, Ravenna's population has gone down about 400 people. It's stayed in 26 years. The difference is 11,770 in 2000, 11,300 in 2020. So very little population change.
Because where else would you develop in this? Where, I mean, Anavar was built, but then where else in the city would you ever build something like that? There wouldn't be any space.
Anavar is never, I don't think they completely finished in Anavar, did they?
City can put
No,
new
there's still room for development.
There is, I thought that was like a
That's being a
wetland.
town.
Well, I guess they can fill those in. I thought it was wetland.
No, but we could
over there.
rezone
Well,
an industrial
there
area.
is a
There's all kinds of
there
things
is
that
part
could
of that.
happen.
But Amy is right, there was part of that, that there's still room for homes.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I believe where NDS has in the back, behind Williard School. And who's to say?
Like Harvest
with
and,
some of these older elementary schools, maybe if they don't get, I mean, who knows what can get taken down or, it's hard to say.
so would it be, so for, if I put this on my, May committee meeting, and that would give people a chance to kind of play around with these maps, and you said we could save them with our names, right? So that way we would be able to kind of talk about like where we move things and
Can people see
our
money?
reasoning.
What are those?
So, yeah, I should show you guys how you can see them. You can search, so this is another one I just put up here that I also gave you.
Yeah, I
This
didn't
is
like
the
that
other
one.
QR code. That one you can't manipulate, but you can
Oh.
actually, you can, in that you can put layers. You can look at different layers, but there's,
What are the numbers on the map?
the numbers are how many people live in each block. So that's what I have. If anyone wants to do an analog map in the next month, you can take one of those big maps that I printed out with you
Well-
and draw them. I'm pretty sure that's what Kent was doing, was drawing them by hand. So you can do that, do some math. It's good for that would be like a great job for a high school kid. Mm-hmm. By hand redistricting. But anyway, so this has, when you go to, let me see if so those are it remembers my maps because I created a login. But then you can also look through all maps. Just all of them.
Shared with me?
Maps. Well, nobody has shared them with me yet. But you could if you wanted to. I don't know how you.
How do you share?
I was, sorry, I actually use a different type of software for when I do this, but.
Share, it's
But I
right
was
up on top.
encouraged by Trevor to use Dave's because it's a little more accessible, which it is.
Share frozen version.
What I found was that there was.
How do you, how do you, it's,
So
Oh.
according
I
to
gotta say,
this,
this, like, the
is
software
this saying
easy
that there
to use,
is
but figuring
only
out what the heck it's doing and-
a couple hundred people living here?
voting in this, yes.
That doesn't make sense, because there are over 200 homes in this
So
development.
I guess you can just send people a URL and it'll send them the
We're gonna
map.
have to ask Jen about that.
Because that
That's
means
what-
there's
it's like-
less than one person
It's
per
like a
home.
Google thing.
Is it by, it's census data, not registered voters,
So-
right? Okay.
Census data.
I think, I'll be honest, I
people
don't
may
know
not
that
have
we're
an
ready
answer to
for a
census.
planning committee. I think it'll just be
That
too overwhelming
does
for
not
the planning
surprise me,
committee.
because
Since we don't really have anything.
This number,
I think this,
I
Well, the
believe
latest I
this
would
is
want to
what's
do
on
it is
record, but
June,
it
because
won't
I would
surprise
want
me
to involve the
that the
community,
actual number is
to have time to
lower
go
than
through that
this.
process.
Lower or higher?
well, maybe, I guess the only thing I would
updates.
say
People
is
aren't
if we
an-
could,
people
if we
aren't
could do
answering.
I
enough
know it'll be
sharing so
higher,
we had something
but the
to
way
present
people
to your
move
committee.
in and out because of rentals,
Potentials and your committee can
that's why I'm saying
pick one.
lower.
I think at least to have a comeback from
Because
our
there's a
first meeting,
tremendous
an
amount of
information session.
rental percent.
And if all else, I mean,
That's
if
the only
there's
reason I
not,
said
you
it
know,
that way.
any maps to share or just a few, I think at least a follow-up from the first meeting.
Because we don't have to move it out of committee. I mean, even if, but I still
Yes,
think keep it on
because
for
they
May.
don't
You know,
want to
Chelsea,
divulge
I
the
want
truth.
this on my May planning committee. Sorry, I'll send that on a tracking
What
sheet.
might happen, what might have happened in that area.
No, you don't need a tracking sheet to put it on your committee.
All right.
That's why these
That's
numbers,
discussion. I
I mean, we
mean,
can only go what the census tells us. That's, I mean,
because if you take 800 of these people,
Well, I'll send you an
Read it
email.
here.
If folks were to share.
let's say approximately 800,
holy name.
then
maps with me, I can print them out at that
that's gonna
size
come
and bring them to the meeting.
Oh,
down
That would be
quite
helpful for
far,
people.
and you're right, that's only,
We could hang them up.
oh, and
numbers have been
I picked
divulged, and
current
I think these numbers are-
2026 districts. Is that what I
I mean,
should
they're
have
as
picked?
close as we can get. As close as we can get on, because.
Yeah.
that's
Proceed
the
with
only
different
number that we
options.
really
Well, it
have.
made a copy.
Okay.
I mean, there's not,
Yeah, no,
there's not any
yeah,
other
but I'm
way.
saying
I
it
mean,
had
because
different
you can
options, like
see
in a
how many
2024
homes, but, you
census,
know,
and
how
then
many
there's,
people are living there? How many,
I guess it
I
doesn't
mean,
really.
that is.
This would be the
you could
most recent.
Say
probably.
what the address is, but who's living there.
and some people come
I
and
like
go
this. I'm gonna
to
play
the
around.
same
24
house.
census?
I've known of
There was 20
some
I think
people
it
that
was-
have lived there that aren't supposed to.
Right?
They literally
So,
go
and,
knock on
you
people's
know,
doors.
kids might come home for a
That's the
while
only way they
and,
can get this fine scale
so, and they
data.
might not
It was
have,
2020,
because
wasn't
this is,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
these are
that's where this
2020
data is.
numbers.
So we're a little behind.
Yes.
And so then
2020 census was the one that they did some statistically counting in the COVID year.
And this wouldn't surprise me that this number is
In lots of places.
high, since it's 6 years old.
Still
yeah, there'll be
consequences.
another-
Could be,
At 2030 is when it's time to.
but I think I mean, but
We'll look and see if things
again,
change.
that's what so much is, that's why the census is so important for people, and that's why going around and having
So
them.
right there.
And I know
Yeah.
It shows the population.
some
of
people,
Ward 1 and
I don't
2.
think they're
Where would
stereotyped.
be the
I don't want to do this because,
Right.
but they
Scroll
don't
down. So
realize
you're-
the full
this is where the word-
implication.
It's there.
There's a lot
I
going
mean,
on
they
on
don't
this
realize how
Okay,
much
so
money
it's-
they
Yeah,
give
that-
to
all
a
four there, you
community.
just don't
They
The
can
screen
be
is
Number
also a
of
little
people, absolutely.
bigger
Absolutely.
because of
So,
the display,
I
but
know that in 2020, we had people just going around.
if you play around with the software, you
and
can
just
see
putting
them all
on
at the same
door
time.
hangers saying
Oh,
how
you
Yeah,
don't
the
play
key
around
is
with
to
it?
make sure
It was
it's
just to
really
answer the census
annoyingly
because
slow with these tiny little
money
blocks,
that
but
each
you need to have that.
can
Yes.
get or not get. with the
Exactly.
number of
Be
people
able to
that
do
they
the
have.
precision.
So it's like schools.
But then it also will
So-
tell you
There's some-
on the
yeah, I
right
know
how
there's
many
some
people
huge
are-
differences.
61.74%
Okay.
deviation.
Because I looked at that and I thought, oh, that's,
No, that
down.
doesn't seem right, but.
no, it
but
isn't.
would- but it
So
would-
Amy, I'll have this on
Like,
for
census
our
people
planning
aren't
committee, and I'll
close to
talk to
exact numbers.
Christina.
Honestly.
These have so
Honestly.
few
okay.
people that
Actually,
might
she's a
Yeah,
techie
you-
person, she'll like
And if
this
they're
stuff.
afraid,
take advantage
It might
of
be
that.
tricky. You might luck out,
I believe
find a
some are.
block here and there that
Maybe I
really
should
fills
use the word
everything out.
paranoid.
You know
I think it's
what,
gonna be a
there
little
probably will be way more than that, but every day I'll talk myself out of a few more and a few more.
know that black and brown communities are
That's how I am.
less likely, just historically. I mean,
Yes.
that is just
Actually,
across the board, that is no.
I should, I have,
real
I put
comment,
magnets
that's
No,
up
I-
here
I
for
realize
Christine's,
That's just
Christina's
what we know,
entertainment, so I'll
so,
just,
Depending on what area of the city might be, you know, who's
Well,
really truly
yeah, I think
answered
there's
and
some
who
I want to play
Yes.
around with myself.
I'll do a reply.
I know you're
Is a
not being
reply all gonna work
stereotyped, but it's just the way it
It
is.
is.
to Carmen's email, and I can give you guys
Yes,
actual copies
Absolutely.
instead of mine.
Thank you both for coming.
Yeah,
and,
thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry it's a little bit all over the place here, I think, but I think that map will be huge help. And I think, I honestly don't think it's going to be a lengthy, long out process. I think it can be resolved in about a month, personally.
Oh, I think you're right. I think that this is not a,
No.
it's not rocket science.
I was thinking of the same word.
Yeah, it's not rocket science,
Yeah.
but it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle.
Send them if I
I mean, if you think
See what
about it as a
works.
puzzle, you're just kind of moving those pieces around until they all kind of equate and,
Yeah. So, thank you.
okay,
This-
thank you.
Yeah.
Now you get to go play.
Thank you.
Yeah, have fun.
If anybody wants to take them, they're like, oh, this is such great wall art. I want to take this home.